Welcome to the House of Valkyries, brought to you today by the letter E for energetics, emotional mastery, and embodiment. And I can't quite figure out how to get this into my letter E representing, but also the letter P for practical magic tools and resources to get you to where you want to be. I am your host, Carly Raemer, and I am joined again today by Violet Vang, who is my co-pilot for Valkyries 6, which starts October 8th. And we thought we had a whole plan for you today. We were going to talk about embodied sovereignty and the utmost importance and source of power and creativity and intuition of moving, processing, somatically releasing energy and emotion through your body, among other things. And that's just simply not true. And one of the groundstones of Valkyries is working with the truth of the moment and showing up truthfully, in resonance and in truthful resonance and authenticity to what your actual emotional and energy body is feeling. And I was going to say debriefing, but what would you call it if it's before something? Pre-briefing?
I was thinking like checking in,
Great. We were checking in.
pre-briefing.
We were
I like
checking
that
in
one.
before this call um and just going through themes and like what was coming up and things that we may or may not talk about. And both of us were just like meh about it. Like we will host that podcast someday. Today is not that day. And that was evidence in both of our energy field. Both of our energy bodies are like, I guess we'll talk about it.
I guess this is it, right?
All really fucking important stuff, just not for today. And the truth of the moment today is still rather unknown. I have some inklings of what it may unfold into, but who knows? Um, and from both of our truths, we both came tired. Like both of us jumped on tired, and that's where we start.
Mhm.
That's true. So
Yeah.
that's where we start. Yeah. So by the end of this episode, I intend to give you some practical tools, some practical magics, some um, maybe energetic tricks to not bypassing a tired body, but bringing some more energy or chi into a body. And definitely working with the truth of energy bodies, which we are conditioned to bypass. We are conditioned to ignore them, to ignore being tired, to ignore places that we really want to tantrum about or don't want to do, to ignore the fact that we need to slow down and rest and receive instead of keep doing and giving. Um, and I had another thing here. Oh, and work with the rhythm of the feminine, which is cyclical and also seasonal internally as well as externally, which means that we honor tired, we honor moving slow, we honor the death cycle in ourselves, in our own cycle and in the earth cycles as well. And all of the other flavors of the death cycle, the down and the void and the murky places and moments within that are not yet revealed. Which gives us lots to start with. I felt like I was dropping us into the void and like, I don't know, but that's a lot of that's a lot of material to work with. What's coming up for you?
Mm. It also feels like integrative as well in that space where we can slow down and like digest and metabolize and then release and compost.
Mm-hmm.
But it's necessary to have rest to metabolize and digest. And like last night, um, I was sharing like we've just come down from like a really big retreat and like being with a group of powerful ass women
Valkyrie's
and
retreat.
yeah, Valkyries retreat.
Yeah.
Um, and now like launching Valkyrie 6 and just like being in that fire energy, I feel like at least for me, I can be so swept up in like writing that. But when I check in with my body, it's like, no, girl, we about to crash. Like if we don't slow down now. Um, and that's what was happening for me last night. I was like, oh, I just need to slow down before I have a nervous breakdown, which probably wouldn't be bad either. But like, can I notice that before I'm having a tantrum
Yeah.
or I'm like overloaded?
Right. Yeah. And then we're too far gone and too deep and overwhelmed and collapse. And how do you
Mhm.
notice? How do you notice this in your own body?
Um, like I feel quite, let me just go through that. I get very like messy or like rushing in my processes of like just normal daily, like if I'm cooking a meal, I'm like, I'm just trying to hurry up so that I can rest. And it gets very like sloppy and messy. Um, and like it does feel tired, like I feel tired,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I move like I'm not, if that makes sense.
You're overriding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm laying in bed like, oh my God, what did I do today? I was like completely disembodied. Yeah.
Right. What? Okay, so now you have the language to
Mhm.
listen
Mhm.
and know what to do with that, like hurry up and move really fast.
Yeah.
Just keep going, override this desire, this need actually to slow down. But what was that like before before Valkyries? Like before you regulated your nervous system and essentially made yourself safe to slow down. Because like the world does not show us that there's safety or okayness in slowing down. It's actually like rest and slowing down is quite triggering for many, many bodies.
A
So we'll
lot.
just like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's safe to say. Um, before that, for Valkyries, I felt like I was just like crashing every night. Like I'm just and almost like a I was like zombie-ish, like going through the motions and not present. Um, I'm trying to remember before that, and it's a little bit hard.
yeah. My my body can feel your body. Tension in your chest, like right here.
Mm, mhm. Like, yeah, my breath was probably here most of the time,
Yeah,
just chest to the top of the throat.
yeah. What happens when your breath is just right here?
I'm just like very stiff, robotic, um, collapsed.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel it now. My whole body is stiff, and I'm guessing for
Yeah.
anyone watching or listening to this, you're also feeling it in your body. Let's,
Yeah. Like
let's,
not alive, feeling not alive.
yeah. So for both of us, and also if you're feeling that while watching or listening to this, take a really big breath, like the biggest breath you've taken all day, and just a gentle lean back, and even a little wiggle in the body. A very simple antidote to being stiff in
Mhm.
mind, body, or frozen is just to move. Hmm. It's an enormously simple tool and really, really powerful. Breathe and move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So for me, this is also an unfolding learning area, like a place I haven't mastered. Um, this place of like truly slowing down and living in accordance with my own energetic truth and rhythm and blueprint and cycle. And while I feel like this is a hard thing to put a percentage on, but while I feel like I'm really great at it, like 85% of the time, even after all these years, there's still 15% of the time that I am more in a quick, fast pattern, or generating, rather than where my body really wants to be. And there's lots of my own patterning here, and many places in all sorts of my charts that make this part difficult for me. Um, and Violet knows this. I've been working for God, almost 2 years now, with my North Node in Taurus. And that's so much about doing one thing at a time and slowing down and essentially like doing like putting one foot in front of the other, and like really mastering one skill.
Mhm.
What it feels like in my body when I want to do 12 things at one time, which I'm quite good at. Um, I've like got that skill mastered. It's hard to do one thing at a time. Like just before this, I'm learning how to bake bread. I'm making sourdough bread and I'm awful at it. I'm on my third loaf and it's like it's fine, but it like looks like this weird clam thing. But anyway, I'm doing my bread and I'm like folding a new batch and I can feel myself, um, like there's like a rev in my chest. It's like,
Mhm.
um, and I'm dancing and moving and really trying to be in my body so that I wasn't overthinking what you and I were going to work on today here. Um, but I can feel the desire and the pull and the mastery, really, in being with one thing, like being with making my bread and nothing else.
Mhm.
And this like flutter in my body that's like, but all the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely a space of a space that's full of potential growth when, especially in a launch that is as fiery as Valkyries, to also hold the truth of the body, the truth of the feminine, and how she's speaking. Like, can you launch with fire and also do it easefully? Can you
Mhm.
also do it full of rest and slow walks and naps and like long, luxurious meditations?
Yeah. That's some masterful shit. Because as you're saying that, I'm like, whoa, that's, I'm being reminded of what does happen for me is just like overfilling my plate instead of focusing on like fulfilling my needs first and then coming in with fire.
Mm.
If I'm trying to do all of the things, um, that's where like the burnout happens. Like, oh, if I need to go for a walk right now, but I'm thinking about what I need to do for a launch, I'm not tending to what is needed first.
Right. Which is actually what is needed for the launch.
Right.
That like overbraining of like, what is
Right.
like, how do I like that's not helpful, but actually being in your body on the walk and like receiving fucking sunlight and like guidance from that super hot, like not like super sexy flower, but that's true too. But like it's hot out today. So like that super like withery, really hot flower, like that has information for you that and like that is more important for what wants to come through Valkyries than what wounded masculine or brain wants to bring through.
Yeah, which is a plan
Plan.
on what we need to talk about today and deliver.
We're going off-roading, entirely off-roading. We're also driving really, really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Jump back to that overloading the plate.
Mhm.
Overloading the plate. Why do we do that?
It, for me, it feels like um, a version of outsourcing. So if my tank is empty, and instead of taking the time and space to fill it at, with what it needs, I'm outsourcing like I don't know, a podcast or uh another course or hanging out with my friends and avoiding tending to my needs. It was always like filling the space with something else rather than taking the space to tend and
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah. Why is that so hard?
Um,
There's like really
there's like
young, like
there's
childhood.
like
Yeah.
yeah, there's some like fear there, some kind of fear.
What is it?
It's like it's, it feels like FOMO. It's like if I slow down and take the time that I need, I'm going to miss out on all of the things. I'm going to be left behind.
Right.
That's this, I mean, what we were talking about earlier, how that system is built in and why it is so hard for a lot of human bodies to slow down. Like, fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel a lot of validation, like wounded validation stuff in here too. And
Mm,
good enough, like, am I good enough? Um, Comes from a like mid-elementary developmental phase, that like the question here is like, am I doing enough?
yeah.
Um, am I doing enough to prove my value, to prove my worthiness? So like deep intrinsic, albeit wounded, but value and worthiness stuff in overfilling the plate. And I also suspect that when a plate, I don't want to rush over that because this feels like we could have a whole podcast actually on this, on like overfilling the plate because of um, a sense of needing to describe or fulfill a sense of value or worthiness. Um, so let's like put a pin in this and come back to it. But there's also this, mm, when, okay, so when we start to clear the plate, then it makes the body and what's actually here louder.
Hmm.
So if our plate's really full, then we can't tune in to what's happening here.
Super distracted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And beginning to return home to body can be a loud and noisy journey if it's something that we haven't been accustomed to. And so there's
Hmm.
actually like the underlying energetic and filling the plate all the time is avoidance, is like avoiding
Hmm.
feeling our feelings.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what do we do in Valkyries?
We go all the way in with the
We
feelings.
feel our feelings.
Um, and and find it in the body. I
Mm,
think that's one of my favorite parts. It's like, yeah, we feel the feelings, but we also move through where it's being held in the body so that it can move through all of the layers, not just like the emotional body, but in the like energetic, etheric parts.
hmm. Right. Yeah. When I say language of the body, this is really what I mean. And it's certainly not something that I was taught as a child, and something that I started to develop. And when this power like came back online for me, this is when I was like, oh my God, Valkyries. Like this is one of the origin points of Valkyries and like one of the most important points.
Mhm.
I have to share something really funny with you guys.
Yeah.
So Sean's home, my partner's home. He's not always home during the day. And when he gets on the phone, he's super loud. And and so earlier I'm upstairs and I'm like making my bread and I'm like, so I'm gonna be recording in 30 minutes. And he's like, oh, okay, so you need me to go outside to take my phone calls? And I was like, that would be really great. Thank you so much. It's like I can't tell you how many times I've come into my studio to like record an audio track or a shamanic journey or something. And then he starts talking and I have to start over because it's so loud. Okay, so then like 25 minutes later or 25 minutes go by and I'm like about to jump on call and he's like, okay, so I just want to remind you that I have my opera class in about 5 minutes. And he doesn't. He doesn't have an opera class. He's hilariously making this joke about singing. Okay, so
The
preface.
loudest kind of singing.
So when he takes a call right now, it's just funny. It's just funny. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can hear him. I can hear you yelling from the kitchen. And one of my favorite things also about working with the truth of the moment, being in approval of life as it's moving, or just like being in flow with life, is like allowing these things in. Allowing
Yeah.
like approval in the body is regulated. So like he starts talking and I have a sensation come up that's like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
And like the the somatic reaction is like, so
Mhm.
feel that. This is um like once this gets embodied, it's a very fast process, but like feel that. I feel that. I feel the irritation. I like let it run its course. Take a breath and then shift back into like this is simply what's here. Like, will this make it onto this recording? Maybe, probably. And then it might become part of someone else's experience. And I trust that whoever's listening to this is also a sovereign being and can manage within themselves some kind of noise disturbances.
Mm.
It's my funny
And there
story.
isn't this need for like perfection because you can't cushion your experience in that way.
I certainly tried.
Yeah. Yeah, you can try.
Uh,
And then what happens when it doesn't happen
yeah.
as planned? When
We
it doesn't
work.
go to plan?
Yeah. What happens when it doesn't go to plan?
Yeah.
That is being in relationship with the mystery, which I believe is what we all truly want.
Hmm.
And all of our parts, all of our wounded parts, when things don't go to plan, are like, oh, like woe is me. Do we say we want this like totally magical, mystical, mythical life to be in relationship with a mystery, and then things don't go to plan, and we have a fucking hissy fit.
Yeah. The mystery comes and it's like, no, but you're not what I wanted. Not this way.
And what's actually like what becomes available when we start to integrate those parts in Valkyries? Like when those
Mhm.
parts do actually start to essentially they're just trying to keep us safe, right? Like
Yeah.
safe and loved. And when we start to work with them and integrate them and like give them regulated nervous systems, what then is possible?
Hmm.
And that's
Them being these parts of us.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the parts that control parts. Yeah, yeah. And on the other side of that integration, like then the mystery can show up and this whole system of bodies can be like, fuck yeah, I'm here for it. Instead of
Hmm.
anti fucking everything that moves, that's trying to move with us, but we're like moving against it.
It's exhausting that way.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do a lot of work with the perfectionist in Valkyries.
Hmm. Hmm. Can
What?
you say more?
No, I
Can
want
you tell us, can you tell us more?
I want to know what's coming up for you. I'm like, how's your perfectionist changed over
Mm.
the years?
Um, yeah, my perfectionist was so like tight, like suited, tight butthole. If it wasn't this way, then it was wrong for me. Um, Now I feel, let me just check in. I feel pretty loosey-goosey. I'm playful. I'm trying to think of it like an example of how my perfectionist was, but I can't right now.
Do you remember doing the finger paint masterclass the first time?
Hmm.
Did you meet edges of your perfectionist there?
The edge that I met was like the making a mess part. Like, oh no, don't touch anything. And I did first start with just like just one color at a time. Um, yeah, there's this like cleanliness thing. That's my perfectionist. Everything has to be neat, clean,
Mm.
and proper,
Mm-hmm.
which I like now can feel that it's my mom. Which during that class she did like walk in. I was downstairs and I that was edgy for me.
Totally.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm making a mess. Oh no.
Do you remember what her response was?
Mm, I don't. I think I just gotta look. Yeah.
Oh, a look.
Yeah. Shit. I'm in
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah, right? No words, just a look.
I'm in trouble now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. The finger paint masterclass or the I've had so many names for it over the years. The imperfect art or the perfect art of imperfection, something like that. We're working with integrating the perfectionist and making the ways that we feel like we have to show up perfectly in we all have different ways that our perfectionist plays out. It's really sweet. But integrating those parts so that we can show up not I'll use the word imperfectly, but um actually alternatively to imperfectly, like truly,
mhm, mhm.
truly, or iteratively, or exploratively, or like fuck around to find out idly.
Yeah. Or like curiously.
Yeah.
Because like for there's like part of the being perfect is like, oh, I what if I don't know what is being talked about, right? Or like, I don't know what's going on, but can I still allow myself to show up and be like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know what we're talking about, but um and like feel safe there. Not like I need to know.
Right. Yeah. Because the wound of that is unsafety in that. Like
Yeah.
I'm unsafe to actually be myself, to like be this human in this world if I don't have this information. It's like
Yeah.
worthiness stuff again, worthiness and value. Yeah, lots of transactional stuff can show up here too. Like I have to have something to offer in order to be loved.
Hmm.
Yeah. I find a lot of validation energetics are wrapped up in perfection. Um, early early elementary school stuff, like actually probably all the way through, we'll just say academia. um,
Mm.
A plus stuff and gold star. Um, if I do this right, then the world validates me. If I do this wrong, then I am wrong. And here we start to twist behavior with personhood. And so it
Hmm.
becomes I am bad and wrong rather than this is simply something that like I don't drive with or like I don't fucking get it. I had a bad math teacher, right? You make it wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
My perfectionist was really tied up in creativity and art. And I actually didn't think that I didn't ascribe to it for a long time. I was like, I don't have that. I don't, I'm not a perfectionist. Um, because like my car is a fucking mess all the time. Um, it takes me 4 days to fold the laundry. Like even now, even after all this work that I've done, and I'm almost 40 years old, and I like, yeah, I still can't fold the fucking laundry. Or what other things am I really messy at? All sorts of things. Like my hair is a mess. It doesn't really look that messy on camera, but um, yeah, my room is often picked up, but it's also like a mess. I'm not a perfectionist. I don't have it. I've run out of gas before. Like I don't have this hyper vigilant the way that I thought perfectionist shows up in the world. Um, and then and then I saw my perfectionist like came through my artwork, which has taken many, many forms over the years. But whether it's painting or making cocktails or sculptures or woodworking or uh, metalworking or like the list goes on, bread making, pottery making, that's where my perfectionist really shone like the fucking best. I am the fucking best. Challenge me. Um, lots of comparison stuff in there for me too. And so it was enormously edgy and powerful for me to start making and to allow myself to make imperfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I first started when I first started coaching and before Valkyries was Valkyries, I had this program. I think I ran 3 iterations of it. It was Valkyries before it was Valkyries. It was called Body Illuminated. And I was making I was making graphics for it in Photoshop, and they would take me hours. Like one graphic that becomes that becomes like one tile on Instagram, it would take me hours. And I would obsess over it and like get things just perfectly and all the fucking colors and fonts, all the things. And where my mind was tracking was I was still in school at the time for industrial design. And I was like, all of these designers who follow me are gonna judge me, which is like judge me for making an ugly graphic or a
Mm-hmm.
not cool graphic. Oh yeah, cool girl stuff in here for me.
Yeah.
Um, which is really just me judging myself, right? Like I'm gonna project out and say that these people are judging me, which they might may have been. I'm sure that lots of them have unfollowed me since this moment, which is not a judgment thing. That's just an alignment thing. Um, but yeah, it's really just me judging me. So anyway, making imperfectly has been really, really liberating for my really young, if I make beautiful things, then I am loved and validated in the world stories. Now I can
Yeah.
make really ugly loaves of bread and I still feel worthy as a human being. And the finger paint masterclass is like one of my favorites. Like every time we hit that class, it's like such a blast. It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else for you here? You want to move on?
Mm. Yeah, I think we can move on.
Mhm. Yeah, great. So I want to circle back to where we started and coming back. We always come back to the truth of the body and the truth of the moment. So for each of us, and also if you're listening into this, let's do that. So you can close your eyes if that's true for you. If you're not driving or walking or operating machinery. Close your eyes. And we laugh, but somebody listening to this is totally out.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, close your eyes and take a breath and just tune in. I want you to notice what's here. Like, what is the quality? And by quality, I don't mean this as a judgment. Quality has connotations. We judge something as high quality or low quality, but I mean like the textural quality of your energy. What is the quality of the state of your body? Like, notice where you're holding your shoulder blades. Are they really high? Are they forward? Would they like just a nice, gentle adjustment to sink down away from your ears and even roll up and back? So your shoulder blades start to slide down your back. Check in with the quality, the frequency, the somatic shape of your heart space, of your belly. What are you holding with your little belly muscles? Just invite them to not hold. See what that's like. We love a Buddha belly in Valkyries. Buddha belly means safety, means reception, means groundedness. You just check in with your hips. Notice what you're holding here. Can you feel tension in your hips? And maybe you ask them, what are you holding? Your body will tell you. And maybe you just set that down. If your hips don't want to set down, whatever they're holding, I want you to take a breath in and squeeze your butt cheeks. Contract your belly. Hold your breath. Exhale, let it all go. Open and close your jaw. Stick your tongue out. Good. Now take another breath. And I want you to tune in one layer deeper and ask yourself, how am I really? And I love to shift our inclination to describe an emotion and shift that into what that feels like sensationally in the body. So notice if you also feel tired, notice what that feels like. What does that feel like? What are the sensations of being tired? Notice if you have energy in your body that is bubbly and wants to move up and out. If there's parts of you that want to get things done and you notice yourself leaning forward, or if you find yourself avoiding and you're actually leaning backward, just notice the sensations, the shape of your body, the somatic language that your body is speaking. Cool. That's where we start to build the language of the body so that we can listen and actually hear what body is saying. The body will tell you exactly what she needs. So Vi, from here, I want to pop back to the beginning, to being tired and to let me feel it. Creating in truth, in alignment, in integrity. There we go. Creating in integrity with the truth of your being. and operating, taking action still. Like, we have cool fucking women to get in this cohort. There's action to be taken, but taking action from a place that is actually leaned back. Yeah, leaned back in the energy body, soft and receptive. And when we can start to create from here, we can work with creative energy as it moves through us versus how we think it's supposed to be. We can work with the enormously nourishing and um, blind, albeit blind, the felt sensations of the feminine and how she's showing and wants us to move. When we're in tired, when we're in rest, when we're in the bleed part of our cycle, or a an ego death or some kind of phasing where we're in the dark, it does feel like you're blind. You can't see where you're going. You're like blindfolded and have hands out in front of you. And next level work here is embodied trust. Is embodied trust in this place. And embodied trust here is softness. When I say embodied, it means that the body is reflecting the trust of this situation, of this phase, of this archetypal place. And when we trust, our bodies are soft, our bodies are open, our bodies are regulated. This is my deep, deep desire, one of them for all women who go through Valkyries, is to embody trust in not only the up cycles of the mystery or the up cycles, the up spirals of the feminine, but the down and the dark. In this place, like this is the place that we really plant the seeds. And I'm going to say energetically, traditionally, don't take a lot of action from here, but it's still necessary to. So, how then does one move from here while still remaining in integrity with our own creative process and energetic body? And for me, that's just staying really slow. Like all of the answers will come, like the answers, whatever they are, they will come from here, from body and from source, if I'm gentle and patient. And then I can move from there. They'll also come from my brain, for
Yeah.
sure. I'm a
Yeah.
generator. my, um, my and many of our, if not all of our, wounded conditionings has our inner masculine, our wounded masculine, coming up with all sorts of ideas. He's like, I know what to do. I have a plan. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the next 60-day layout. Here's exactly how we're going to get from this to this. And like a fucking map is necessary. We need to know where we're going if you want to get somewhere, and to have a couple lily pads along the route. But again, we hit that like that control, and thinking we have to control the whole thing instead of
Mhm.
I have imagery of like Thumbelina like leaping from lily pad to lily pad, just like totally carefree, and the mystery's like, oh, here you go, it's so much better than you planned, and she's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little channeled rant. What did you get out of that?
I was just receiving it, honestly.
Mm.
Um, oh, when you said like being slow so we can also hear. I don't think you said these exact words, but the messages from God. It it also means that our plate has space,
Mm.
like that it is cleared
Space for
with,
Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
Room for dessert, aka Jesus.
Yeah, night lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is where we start in Valkyries, like at the very beginning of our I'm gonna call it material, but that feels like a silly word for it. But we start with we start with slowing down.
Mhm.
And one of my last Valkyries was at my very last breathwork session at the Star House on last Sunday. And at the very end, she was sharing about Valkyries with everybody. That was so beautiful. And she's like, yeah, some of the homeworks are like Carl makes you do a tantrum and sacred rage. And then there's this one at the very beginning where she makes you move as slow as you can. And it's awful. And I totally know that. I know that. I like I remember that in myself, in this place that wants to go fast, certainly doesn't want to slow down, and like how uncomfortable it is actually to slow down. And
Yeah.
that's the place where the fucking magic lives. If we
Yeah.
want to hear magic, if we want to hear mythic fucking guidance and source and our spirit guides, and to actually be shown how life wants to unfold, it's all here.
Yeah.
And it's like we'll meet a lot of edges in Valkyries. Absolutely. It is not a faint of heart, although it gets to be a light of heart, but it's not a faint of heart ride. And this is one of the most challenging. And we'll do it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And probably throughout also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, when I wasn't sure we what our new direction or theme was, um, I pulled a card from the Kim Cran's Wild Unknown Alchemy book, and it's here to close us out with. The card that I pulled is Sanguis, or blood, which feels correct for our conversation today. Um, I mean, we'll see. I will read from the book. But actually before, or as I find the page, Violet, I'm curious how that lands for you. If you want to do a spontaneous reading about this card.
Um, oh, about blood. I wanted to share something actually before blood.
Yeah.
When you talked about being in the down and in the darkness, if we think about like the roots of a plant, like they're in the ground, but that's where all the nourishment and the nutrients are coming up from to feed the entire system. And so it's in that connection that we are also resourced and nourished when we can go back in and go back down and like refill. And that does take slowness
Mm.
and being with.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do a whole nother episode on the dark and the down
Mhm.
and existential kink I was actually, as I was not sleeping last night, I was like, I wonder if I could actually get Carolyn Elliott on here to talk about EK. It's been an imperative, um, and and what is the word I want to use? Inseparable part of Valkyries since day one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, but for now, the down, the dark, and all of the other synonymous archetypal places like that are are the places when we can get in right relationship with them that expand us and our capacity into living a full spectrum life through the body, and also
Mhm.
the places that get shut down and repressed and attempted to sever more often than not, because they're the parts in our psyche, necessary parts in our psyche, and earth and bodies, that society deems bad and wrong and scary. And so we
Mhm.
actually get all of our parts on board with all of our own darknesses. And then when we reach the dark parts of ourselves and our cycles, our creative cycles, our menstrual cycles, our earth cycles, the moon cycles, um, we're actually resourced and can like walk through them empowered and can use those nutrients that we do absolutely receive here for when we start building in the up.
Yeah.
The every up phase, when we're in that, I mean, that like, okay, it's all alive again. The synchronicities are popping, right? That up phase, our energy bodies are like, fuck yeah, we're glowing, we're ovulating in literal and metaphoric ways. That up is fueled by what we've done in the down. It's
Mhm.
really, really important, really
Mhm.
powerful for full feminine um, expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. The blood card. This will be perfect to bring us home. Have no fear of the blood card. It indicates a remembrance of the vital. I just said this word the other day, and now I can't. Mammalian. We're mammals, guys.
Uh,
It indicates a remembrance of the vital mammalian. Thanks for sticking with me through this. I want to highlight this right here because this would be a place that I would leave my body previously. I would make
You're
myself,
perfectionist.
yeah. Oh my God.
Words.
In pronunciation and language. Oh man. Yeah. I yeah, I there's grandmother stuff in here,
Mm,
and she used to do it playfully, but it was still corrections and uh 4 years of Latin. And okay, the list goes on. And that I was a really okay, yeah. Um, I read above my age level by like leaps and bounds. So there was
uh-huh.
lots of validation in that. Lots of like, wow, you're so smart.
Yeah.
To watch me fuck up the word mammalian and stay in my body and make myself still wholly lovable.
Yeah. Hmm.
Anyway, tools, you'll get them in Valkyries. It indicates, have no fear of the blood card. It indicates a remembrance of the vital mammalian nature of our existence. Drop by drop, this sacred elixir reminds us that we are alive, not merely thinking beings, but being beings. When blood is the prima materia in the laboratory. The alchemist uses the physical body as the starting point, building a relationship to the container that houses the spirit. Through the limbs, the organs, the cells, we witness the miracle of life one heartbeat at a time. Eventually, the alchemist naturally partakes in practices that support and nourish blood's life-giving nature. We learn to honor and protect it. In alchemy, red is the color of vitality and radiance. With this card, you've dropped into the vital realm. Sing the body's praises. The blood card brings vitality to an entire reading. I feel like the reading is this podcast,
Yeah.
bringing vitality.
Yeah. And building the body.
Yeah. When it is present, it is as if all other parts come alive and begin to grow. And with that, join us in Valkyries.
Yeah.
We're together for 6 months. We start October 8th and changes the whole game. It changes the whole embodied game, energetics game, emotional mastery. And our fourth E, that's not an E whatsoever, but a P, and that is practical magic.
For the perfectionist.
For the perfectionist. Yeah, when we can take all of the um, learnings, growth, the work, spiritual expansions, what we know about ourselves and our patterning, and actually bring it through the body instead of the brain, everything changes. Everything
Yeah.
changes. Okay. Until next week.
Until next week.
Oh, today is the very last day that you can get the early bird pricing. Price goes up at midnight tonight. So hit end and then come join us in Valkyries and grab that pricing. Okay. All right. Over and out.
Over and out.